We've watched this president make mistake after mistake for the past 7 months. But after this week's catastrophe in Afghanistan, even Biden voters are rolling over in their graves. Republicans and Democrats are in agreement about this mess. Even the mainstream media, which is the strongest supporter of this president, are just besides themselves. But you'll be surprised to know that I'm not in agreement with the Republicans and the Democrats on this. There's part of it I'm in agreement with, and I'll tell you that. But then I'm going to tell you what I disagree. And I'm probably the only guy in both parties that will disagree with this. The only person I hear. But before I get to that, something really important you need to know. If you're buying or selling real estate, you need to go to realestateforlife.org. Not only will you be getting a highly professional realtor, but you're going to get a pro-life realtor that's going to donate a portion of his money, his commission, to a pro-life organization of your choosing. Now, I just had one of our viewers email me and tell me that Dave, the guy that runs Real Estate for Life, was fantastic to work with. She is so happy and so thrilled. It went really smooth. So these are the kind of reports we get all the time, but this one just happened to get yesterday. So go to realestateforlife.org if you're buying or selling real estate. Now, before I get to what I disagree with my Republican friends and Democrats that are actually agreeing on this issue, I'll get to what I agree with. So I agree this is a mess, that it could have been handled, this evacuation could have been handled much better. But I'm not surprised. I don't know why anybody's surprised. You know, the media hid this guy, during the campaign. They wouldn't report anything negative about him. He stood in his basement. He couldn't function and run a normal campaign. They blamed it on the pandemic. But now he's president of the United States, hiding, on vacation. Took him 3 days after this catastrophe to come out. And he comes out like a zombie. It was kind of sad. I feel bad for the guy. He reads the teleprompter like a zombie and then leaves, not taking one question from the friendly Democrat media that loves him. Contrast it with Trump, who would come out and spend 3 hours just arguing with the media, answering every question they threw at him. Wasn't reading the teleprompter. If this was Trump, he'd be out there every day giving 3-hour press conferences, face to face, taking on the toughest questions. This guy is just a shell of a man they protect. And again, I'm not surprised. I've been, not only am I a student of history, but I am a student of current events. I've been following politics for over 40 years. I know this guy. And I wasn't surprised when President Obama's Secretary of Defense, Robert Gates, said Joe Biden has been wrong on every major foreign policy issue and security issue over the last 4 decades. It didn't surprise me that President Obama didn't even endorse him during the Democrat primary and told one of his aides, Joe, never underestimate Joe's ability to F things up. And Joe's been effing things up for the past 7 months. And the media ignored the crisis on the border, but I'm listening, not to the media, I'm listening to the Border Patrol guys, the guys on the border. Joe's destroyed our energy independence. I'm not listening to the media, I'm listening to the oil guys, and I'm looking at the gas prices. And the media ignores that. The highest inflation in 20 years, the media ignores that. But they cannot ignore this because they've been to Afghanistan. This is personal to a lot of these people. This is not any conspiracy. These people, I think, are truly blown away by the way Joe Biden is handling this. And like I said, I'm not surprised because Joe Biden is just a lifelong politician. Everything is calculated. And he's not upset that it's going bad and Afghans are going to be slaughtered. He's upset at the optics. And one of his aides told Matt Zeller, former CIA analyst, former Army veteran, said he's been telling the Biden administration since January that we need to slowly withdraw all our friends. He said, I have names of 86,000 people, Afghan people that have helped us, that they have, once we're out, they're going to be slaughtered. They're going to be tortured to death by the Taliban. And the response was F that. Biden's response was F that. You know how bad that'll look? He was more concerned about the optics. He thought it would look worse pulling all these people out. And now he's reaping what he sowed. Now nothing could look worse than what's really happening on the ground today. Colonel Alan West has been saying for months that the Biden administration isn't helping him get his interpreters out. He was on the ground in Afghanistan. He has interpreters he's trying to get out. And they're saying all these rules and laws, Congress, blaming Congress, blaming him. Congress has to change the laws. So then he goes on the news, and who's he blame? He blames the Afghan people, says they're not willing to fight, yet the fact is the Afghan army suffered more casualties every year than our entire U.S. Army did in the whole 20 years we've been there. These guys have been fighting, they've been getting killed. But they know once we're gone, there's no way they can defend themselves because the corrupt Afghan government doesn't pay them, don't give them ammunition, don't give them the fuel they need for the trucks. So they were left with no alternatives once we left. You know, watch your family get tortured to death, your wife gets thrown into slavery, or come to our side. So President Biden, I can't believe you can blame these people. And then, of course, he's going to blame Trump. Well, Trump signed this agreement. Well, President Biden gave like 36 executive orders reversing all of Trump's policies. His policies at the border, his policy on energy. He could have reversed this one. No, he wanted out. He wanted to be known as the president that got us out of Afghanistan. He wanted the optics to look good. That's what happened there. And we could have gotten out, like Matt Zello, the CIA analyst, said, slowly get all these people out. But instead, he rushed, got all our people out, all our soldiers and all our equipment. He left behind, rather. He got all our people out, left our equipment for the Taliban to take it. And now there's 11,000 Americans left there. If we don't get them out, guess what? We're going back in. This is worse than Vietnam, when we left the Vietnamese there to get slaughtered. Now we're leaving Americans there to get slaughtered. And when I see a Biden leave, he gives his 30-minute press conference where he just reads a teleprompter and then leaves. Now takes one question, and where does he go? He goes back to vacation. And as of yet, he hasn't called one world leader. He hasn't called the Prime Minister of Britain. Hasn't called the leaders in the Middle East that this is going to affect. Hasn't called nobody. Think about that. This guy is a shell of a man. He's hiding now somewhere. His press secretary, Jen Psaki's on vacation. Not taking calls. Emailing her and get an instant email reply. I'll be out of the office. Like this is some kind of corporate, corporation. And even you see Ned Price, this guy, he looks like the ultimate corporate nerd. This guy, Ned Price, comes out. I feel like I'm sitting in an HR meeting with some corporate nerd who's never done my job, telling me all these policies that don't make sense. But this is sad because this guy is talking about people's lives. He's like, we've told the Taliban we don't want them to harbor terrorists. Dude, they are terrorists. They are the terrorists. He's like, we told them we expect an inclusive government with women. An inclusive government with women, they treat women like property. Where's this guy been? Are these people that out of touch? These people, right as he was saying it, the Taliban was going house to house, beheading the father, throwing the boys into the army to brainwash them to be killers, and then taking the women, the wives, and the daughters and selling them into slavery. That's what's happening. Right now, these women are being sold into slavery. They will never be free under the Taliban rule. Never mind being part of the government, they're going to be slaves. And this guy, Ned Price, like I said, the ultimate freaking corporate nerd comes out, we expect them not to harbor terrorists and provide the government with diversity. I'm like, he's talking about diversity. This is craziness what's going on. So I agree with the Democrats and the Republicans that this is a complete failure. There's not one Democrat standing up for Joe Biden today. Even 90% of the media, they got some, far lefties in the media still trying to protect him, but most of the media knows that they just can't even protect this guy anymore. This guy's toast. But now here's where I disagree with my Republican friends. Everyone's saying, we got to get out of Afghanistan, but he could have did it better. And I'm saying, am I the only one that remembers 9/11? Has everyone forgotten on 9/11 when these scumbags drove a plane into our Twin Towers and we seen women and children and men jumping out because it was a less of a torturous death to jump 100 stories than to be burned? Have we forgotten that we went there to stop this from ever happening again? And we said, well, we'll never allow this to happen again. And Joe Biden says, we went there to kill bin Laden and get rid of Al-Qaeda. That was only part of the problem. And like Robert Gates said, every foreign policy decision he made was wrong. And he told Obama not to kill bin Laden. He thought that would inflame things. So he was even against that, but he said, we went and we killed bin Laden and we got rid of Al-Qaeda. That was only part of it. The rest of it was not to let them do it again. And we were there with 2,500 troops, and they weren't doing it. None of our troops got killed in 2 years. We had peace in the Middle East. We had peace there. Why leave? We've been in Germany for 70 years, North Korea for 50 years. Why leave when we can keep an eye on these terrorists? Because like the late John McCain said, once we leave, it's all going to happen again, and we're going to have to go back in, and it's going to be harder this time. I mean, we went in the first time, and we did what the Russians couldn't do in a decade. In 2 weeks, the United States military took control of Afghanistan, and we had peace. So I disagree with all my Republican brothers and sisters saying, well, we had to get out of there, but the way he did it. No, we didn't have to get out of there, and the way he did it was a disaster. And now there's 11,000 Americans still there. So we're going to be going back in. And again, have you forgotten? Have you forgotten the blood that we spilled to secure this place and free these women and children? You've forgotten about the Army Rangers that were first in there, that were blown apart? Do you forget about the stories? I remember hearing a story about a Ranger crying, saying, the suicide bomber came and my friend tackled him. And the guy blew up. His friend sacrificed his life for him. I remember Petty Officer Navy SEAL Michael Mansour. This was still the war of terror. We're fighting, the war is against terror. Whether it's the Taliban, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, whether it's in Afghanistan or Iraq. This happened to be in Iraq, but we were fighting the war on terror. And Petty Officer Mansour seen a hand grenade go by his friends, fellow SEALs, and Iraqi soldiers, and he dove on it. He sacrificed his life. Do we remember, we said, we were proud. Do you remember that day after 9/11 when the New York Giants ran out with American flags and Michael Strahan, tears in his eyes, said, never forget, never forget. People are forgetting. People are turning their backs on the American flag. People are kneeling when we sing the national anthem. And now we're leaving the place that thousands of Americans spilled their blood to protect us. How could you forget? How could you turn your back on these souls that gave their lives for us? No, don't believe the lie that we got to get out. We needed to stay there and keep the peace. None of our guys were getting killed anymore. All those guys that sacrificed their lives, it was their lives that protected us for the past 20 years. It's no coincidence we haven't had a major attack. We haven't had a major attack because they were on the run. It's hard to attack somebody when you're running from them. These guys are cowards. They run from Americans. But now they got full reign. Now we're going to see Taliban rule again. Women will not be allowed to be educated. Women will not be allowed to leave their house without their husband or their father. Women will not be able to learn how to read or write. If they find it, right now they're seeing girls that know how to read, they're gouging out their eyes right now. Literally gouging out their eyes with knives. These people are savages. I don't know what Ned Price is talking about, talking about diversity. This is crazy. So there you have it. It's my take on it. And pray for our country, because my honest opinion, this is the worst president that the United States of America has ever had. This is a very dangerous situation we're in. We need the grace of God. We need his mercy. And, we need to pray. So stay Catholic and vote. God bless America. And God bless those souls that gave their lives so we could be free.